High-resolution satellite imagery of air bases deep inside Russia, taken before Ukraine carried out what's been described as the most audacious drone attack in military history, shows several Russian Air Force jets parked on the tarmac. These include strategic bombers, transport aircraft, and airborne warning aircraft. Ukraine, under its Operation Spider Web, targeted 5 Russian air bases after infiltrating its territory. Some of these bases are located hundreds of kilometers inside Russia, while the farthest one is located some 8,000 kilometers from the Russia-Ukraine border. Satellite images also show how replicas of the military aircraft were also painted on the tarmac to give the illusion of an actual plane being parked there. These act as decoys in order to deter drone strikes. But these could not avert the Ukrainian drone attack, which was meticulously planned and flawlessly executed. John Ford, a research associate at the California-based James Martin Center for Nonproliferation Studies, said the images supplied by Capella Space, a satellite company, confirm Ukraine's achievement in destroying the fleet based in the Irkutsk region. The SAR images showed the remnants of at least two Tu-22 backfires, the same type of supersonic aircraft that have been used to bombard Ukraine. At least 4 strategic heavy Tu-95 bombers were also identified among the aircraft destroyed at the Belia airfield. The aircraft targeted in the attack were a mix of Tu-22 and Tu-95 bombers, both of which Russia has used to launch strikes against Ukraine. Images from the Ivanova Severny Air Base show Russia's advanced A-50 AWACS or airborne early warning aircraft. These are considered precious assets for any military. Russia, however, had already lost several of these aircraft during the years-long war in Ukraine. With only a limited number of these AWACS left, if the one seen in this picture were indeed hit, as Ukraine has claimed, Russia's Air Force would have reason to worry. At the Dyagilevo Air Base in Ryazan, satellite images show the Ilyushin IL-78 tankers, which are a 4-engined aerial refueling jet based on the IL-76 strategic airlifter. The photos show how decoys of the aircraft are painted on the tarmac to give the illusion of an actual jet. Facilities related to the supply of the occupying Russian army have been damaged in the temporarily occupied districts of Zaporizhia and Kherson regions. The spokesman for the Ukrainian Volunteer Army, Serhiy Brachik, said this on Espresso TV. Blackout is currently underway in the temporarily occupied Kherson and Zaporizhia regions. We are talking about several locations. In particular, these are the power supply facilities that ensured the operation of the Russian military infrastructure. We are talking about the city of Molokhansk, which is a temporarily occupied territory of the Zaporizhia region. We also have information about the Henichesk substation. In Melitopol, an arsenal with ammunition was hit. The damage Russia will be assessed in more detail later, noted Brachik. According to the Ukrainian Volunteer Army spokesperson, the Russian forces have recently become more active in the Zaporizhia sector, attempting to conduct assault operations. First of all these facilities that are currently without power supply are primarily military facilities. And secondly, I will try to say this in a veiled manner, as the reconnaissance is still ongoing. Some enemy logistics related primarily to the Zaporizhia sector have been damaged. Logistics in the temporarily occupied territories is directly linked to the occupying Russian forces. This is a serious loss for them. We will be able to say how critical it is a little later, Brachik emphasized. Recently, Ukrainian Armed Forces Commander-in-Chief Oleksandr Syrsky said that Russian forces have, significantly, increased their activity in the Zaporizhia direction and are conducting active offensive actions there. Russia has concentrated its main efforts on the Pokrovsk, Toretsk, Lyman, and Novopavlovsk directions, as well as border areas of Sumy Oblast with Russia, Syrsky said in his summary of armed forces activities for May 2025. The Zaporizhzhia sector in Ukraine refers to the area of active military operations within Zaporizhzhia Oblast, a strategically significant oblast in southeastern Ukraine where Russian and Ukrainian forces are engaged in intense fighting. This sector is crucial due to its industrial importance, proximity to the Sea of Azov, and the presence of Europe's largest nuclear power plant, with control of the area seen as vital for both Ukrainian defense and Russian military objectives. The SBU Special Operation, Spiderweb, during which drone strikes were carried out on Russian military airfields, has a strategic direction and opens up new opportunities. This opinion was expressed on air by the manufacturer of electronic warfare systems Anatoly Krapchinsky. According to him, a similar drone can fly into the silos of the RS-24 Yars or R-36M Satana intercontinental ballistic missile systems. The success of the operation lies more in the strategic vision. That is, in the impossibility of the Russian Federation using such weapons in the future. And it opens up new possibilities. Because we need to understand that such a drone can fly into a silo, for example, of some Yars or Satana, which they want to test, the expert explained. According to him, the Russian Federation has repeatedly stated that it does not want Ukraine to be in NATO because it is a threat to Russia on its western border. But, as we see, there is a threat throughout the entire territory if they do not protect it. In this case, in the depths of the territory, where NATO is not nearby. Krapchinsky said. As the expert added, this shows that the Russian Federation's statements about Ukraine in the context of NATO only show the imperial ambitions of the aggressor country. He drew attention to the fact that Russia has recently been carrying out fewer strikes from strategic aviation aircraft. This is due to the small remaining resources of these aircraft. Krapchinsky emphasized, let's remember the crazy statements by Deputy Chairman of the Russian Security Council Medvedev, in which he threatened to strike Europe, Paris, Berlin. That is, here Ukraine is already acting as a guarantor of Europe's security. A more wonderful operation. The Israeli Mossad has probably already smoked all the cigarettes in its headquarters because their operation with pagers has dropped to second place. Regarding the number of planes destroyed during the Spiderweb, the expert noted that many satellite images are now appearing. But they can only show the effect of complete destruction or significant damage. Krapchinsky explained that it is impossible to see certain things in satellite images, for example, the scattering of debris from a damaged plane that could damage important elements. The specialist also explained that it is necessary to rely on the SBU data, because they are the most objective. Russia is unlikely to publish real data on the losses it received due to the Spiderweb. According to Krapchinsky, there were not many strategic aviation aircraft in the Russian Federation, up to 140 units, but there were about 50 that could actually perform combat missions. Since the collapse of the Soviet Union, the Russian Federation has not built a single strategic aviation aircraft. Also, according to Krapchinsky, this is a very expensive area. In particular, the residual value of, for example, the Tu-95 MS is $26 million, while the construction of a new one is from $100 million.